Hi, good morning. Here I am again, Marc Ginsburg, with my 8th daily political viral video, which is really not daily, but looks like it's becoming more daily. I like saying daily as I think of the Daily Show. Coming to you from a peaceful suburb in the most densely populated state in the country. Isn't it amazing how peaceful people can be in a state that's so densely populated? It's hard to really put a finger on it. Who's more likely to get in trouble with violence? Somebody who comes from a place where there aren't that much people, and then suddenly it's confronted by a group of people who think and look differently than that person. Or if growing up in a even more densely populated little community in a city kind of makes things erupt too. Last night's video was kind of how should I say, ominous because of the darkness of it. I wanted to talk about the new freedom fighters because I really see a parallel in the protests at the Trump rallies to the civil rights movement of the 1960s. In both cases, you have people, majority of whom are African Americans, wanting to stand up, having courage to fight what we should all fear. At its root, the struggle is between those who love absolute equality for all, without putting anyone above or below anyone else, and the desire to maintain inequality for various reasons that all stem from raw human emotion. And that's a battle that the human race has constantly been fighting with itself. I think it's a battle that, though we're all afraid to admit it, goes on inside of ourselves. Because there is a part of us that craves the ease of having a place in a very unequal world, and the part of us that really wants to see a better world, the kind that people laid their lives down for in 1776 to accomplish for all of us. A time when the majority of people did not want that. And these people sitting down at that Constitutional Hall in Pennsylvania were a minority. I wonder how many of us think of that. I guess I'm a little stuck here. I didn't know how it would turn out, or I know that my mind races like crazy and I get all these thoughts. And one of the thoughts I was thinking about was the universal need for three things in education, but which are really all related. And I'm talking about the education of children. And that is the issue of bullying, because bullying arises from the very same urge to have an unequal society. And when I talk about bullying, I'm not just talking about the bully. I'm talking about the people who coalesce around the bully. The people who are afraid to be an individual. The second one is family planning. I was thinking a lot about that. I don't think we should call it sex education like we did in the 70s. Family planning. In other words, how to grow up, know the facts of life in a responsible way. Because I think that has a huge impact on our society, on our ability to deal with the issues of life. With the kind of education we have today, where that's left to children to find out from each other, we have a lot of people who are marginalized in this society as a result, who don't grow up with a father, who grow up in a very troubled family, and yet somehow we've kind of pushed that issue to the background. But I think this is a very important issue. The third one is one that I think eyebrows will be raised by, and that is universal, mandatory, how could I put it, arms training. I abhor violence, but as I've said before, we don't live in an ideal world. And I do realize that could have an unintended side effect of people, a lot more violence and death. So this is a hard one, because as I see the rate of violence rising, I think it's time to really look at the intent of the Second Amendment and why the clause, in order to establish a well-regulated militia, was put in there. I know it wasn't put in there to give anyone, anywhere, the right to a free use of a weapon any way they please. It was put in there in order to put real safety in the hands of the people. Because without education, we really can't trust each other. But with good education, which we don't have today, all we have is an education to raise an elite. And even that, that's not even the best word anymore. To raise professional, what do you call it? Pretty much professional slaves. Because my belief is, when we don't know why we're here, when we don't know what the worth of a human being is, we really become enslaved. We become enslaved to our urges. We become enslaved to our fears, which enables bullies to manipulate their way into gaining much more power over others than would be the case if we were an enlightened people, understanding the importance of equality of all people, without one person dominating everything. In that kind of a society, people would have a lot more power to take down somebody who was able to be like that. I think the purpose of a well-regulated militia, because, weapons, if you want to be literal about that, that means everybody has the right, under a literal interpretation of the second clause of the Second Amendment, not even the whole amendment, to own a nuclear weapon, to bear it. Obviously, even the most ardent gun rights lobbyist does not believe that a person has the right to bear every type of arm, that's used by the government. Although there might be some people on the fringes who do. But I think the majority of us, when they think of bombs, they think of Muslim terrorists, which is totally inaccurate, but that's what people think of. When they think of guns, they think of a right which Americans have, and some of us think of it as something that right-wing white crazies are going to use the wrong way. Okay, so just like as I said in the whole thing about family planning, is that it really, well, I didn't go into family planning. Family planning means the kids need to grow up, understand the changes their bodies are going through, understand the changes, understand what they gotta know, who they are, what their worth is as a person, what the meaning of their existence is, and they have to learn how to be in relationships, such as starting out with good friends. There's a lot of stuff that goes on before you even get to the concept, before you even get to like training yourself to be in a relationship that's of a much deeper level, and that could involve an unintended pregnancy. Now, so you get the idea. Switching back to the military side, having a well-regulated militia means that the people, not just by laws, but by a good education that they receive in how to interact with other people. Again, it's relationships. Well, people are not taught how to be in relationships, a lot of trouble happens, and that's what's occurring in America. When was the last time you went to a relationship class? I don't think any of you have been in one. I know I certainly haven't been. It's not just something that, in this society, with all its complexity and all its technology, and the way that human life has been vastly changed, a lot of the rules that we lived by in the past have just not worked in this current setting. We've been through that over several generations. I think it's clear that we really need to educate our young as best we can on what a healthy relationship means. And by doing that, and a healthy membership in a group, because it's not just one-on-one relationships, it's how do you deal with the group that you're always going to be a part of. Even if you live isolated like a hermit, you're still interacting, even if it's only economically. Oh, here comes my friend. He's gonna steer the conversation away. I'm gonna sign off now, but you see my point? And then we can start talking about how to use arms correctly. I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.
Now, how do I shut